All praises to the Most High. Hallelujah unto his holy name. Tata, my Father, your Father. What a wonderful time we are living in. Greetings, Yah Royals. I pray all is well with each one of you. So, just with all going on, was the day that supposedly they release the information surrounding, the UFOs and, the aerial phenomenon that is going on in the sky. And of course, I share with this page some days back, basically the same thing they released today, basically saying that they, see it, that it could be a threat. Far as the UFOs, the unknown are unidentified objects. They still don't know what it is. But I say different. I believe that they do, those who of that status, who I truly believe the Most High have allowed to know. And they just, putting it out there to bring ones into somewhat of the know, but not really, going into a lot of details. So I'm going to play a little bit of this. I have the full video link that I'll share, but I'm just going to play a little bit starting from the beginning, and I'm going to skip around a bit. But this is very profound because I must say, as a definitive answer, saying, that is this, the angels and what they are blocking from us understanding, which ties into the Most High, of course. I feel in my heart, and I can't say definitively, family, that the Most High have given me anything to have me at a complete place in this, but so much for me points to that these people, whenever they tell us anything, they tell us things in the sense of which they say, this is great, or this is this, and you should know by now. You run away from that. Anything they say not great, anything they say they don't understand or they don't get, or whatever, then you run to at least to get an understanding. And I truly believe the Most High allowed me to bring this forth before his people, who he have led to come over to this page for a reason, is to have you to open up your mindsets, your understanding. Because as I said, regardless, if you consider this to be wicked, evil, or, good, this is all of the Most High. There is nothing upon this earth, in this earth, on this earth, that the Most High is not above. Our Almighty is supreme. Anything else fall under. Tata controls all things. So we have to be mindful of those who are out here sharing things such as I've, talked about before, and to have one to be fearful or in a mode to whereas you're not open to understand the possibilities. As I said before, I haven't been given where Tata have, revealed to me this all in full, but certain things that I have witnessed and picked up on through revelation, I have connected dots somewhat. Okay. So when they speak of aliens in this, what you're about to hear, I believe that they're speaking of angels. What aliens, so they say, would want to help out the Most High chosen people? that ties back to the Most High. That has to be affiliated with the Most High. So we have to get out of these words or play of words of what they use to whereas we probably, just we have been taught to, be afraid. All the movies have came out about this type of conversation. So much is so much. But I've came to the understanding, family, the Most High is in complete control. That means that everything on this earth, even the grass, the trees, the water, all these things, the Most High is in control of. If the Most High bid the grass to die, the grass will die. If the trees to fall and rotten out, fall, it will happen. The water to dry up out of a lake, a ocean, a river, it will be done. The wind to stir up in a hurricane or a tornado, it will be done. Human beings, whether we live or die, it will be done as Father commands are put forth. That's where our understanding should be, in the Most High and of the Most High. If we're not there yet, I strongly suggest you strive to get there. So much more to be unveiled and revealed. And again, Father, have me at an area of within my life where things are limited, but things He allowed me to witness that ties in to connect the dots. But I can't definitively say, in a sense that, that I know for certain, but I can say that it's a great, great possibility that what I believe that when they speak of aliens, they're really speaking of angels, but they will discount, they will go against, they will set the narrative to work in their favor or their mode to not to give the Most High credit. You understand? So let's play this mode here, and I'll stop it as I'm led to, okay? So, and I'll share more information how you can get to this, and you can see it in full, because you would have to have an account, and I'll explain about that. But we're gonna move forward.
A people torn apart. Not a household in the North or the South is not touched by blood in this conflict. And the future of a nation hanging in the balance.
That union, for it to fail, that meant that the concepts of democracy would fail throughout the world.
The Civil War nearly destroyed the great experiment known as the United States of America. But might there have even been more at stake than we know? Could it be that the preservation of the Union was ensured by extraterrestrial beings?
It's possible that extraterrestrials have been visiting America since its foundation and did steer the outcome of the Civil War.
Millions of people around the world believe we have been visited in the past by extraterrestrial beings. What if it were true? Did ancient aliens really help to shape our history? And if so, might they have even influenced the outcome of the American Civil War?
There. So when they're speaking of aliens, they're speaking actually of angels. They're speaking of the Most High, how He is utilizing, ones to be in the forefront for us. But they're speaking of, so you have to make sure you understand these keywords and play really close attention. And I'll share where you can actually view this, because it's kind of, if you don't have the, I'll explain. I explain, and I'll stop as I'm led to share some more insights as it goes.
Jackson County, Missouri, 1831. 30 years before the Confederate cannons fired on Fort Sumter, marking the start of the American Civil War, Mormon church founder Joseph Smith brought many of his followers here, declaring this location to be...
So as you hear, it's saying about Joseph Smith. Listen to the significance surrounding Joseph Smith that is lined with the Mormons and lined with the Mormon book, which has a lot of our history according to a lot of our brothers who started studying, and it connects the dot for what took place in the Americas, the North America, and so forth. What the Holy Bible of the Scriptures that we have, now through King James, that shows what happened, on the Promised Land and surrounding the areas of the continent of Africa. So we must, get to a place to be open and allow the Almighty to lead us and guide us to this truth of all truth. And that's what, I say I want. It's not about money. It's not about being rich. It's about understanding our heritage. And so we won't make those actual mistakes or again ever to know about it and have it to connect for us and make it make sense.
Be the site of the New Jerusalem. He also stirred up controversy with his comments on slavery in this long-established slave state.
Joseph Smith, when he takes his Mormon colony to Missouri, he actually makes some statements about slavery.
So, family, it's showing a picture about our ancestors, and it says that he stirred up a controversy about slavery. That's amazing in itself.
He talked that slavery issue would cause discord. He also came out and said that the slaves would eventually rise up against their masters.
8 years earlier, Joseph Smith claimed that a strange figure named Moroni came to him in the night, enveloped in light and professing to be from the Pleiades star cluster. It was also Moroni who directed him to the golden tablets that would become the Book of Mormon.
Joseph Smith also reported that the angel Moroni continued to visit him, and 3 others amongst his congregation also reported similar visits.
According to Smith, Moroni appeared to him numerous times over the course of his life. And in 1832, he came bearing an ominous prophecy. On December 25th, Smith passed this prophecy on to his flock, stating, "Wars will shortly come to pass, beginning at the rebellion of South Carolina, which will eventually terminate in the death and misery of many souls. For behold, the southern states shall be divided against the northern states."
Now, there's some people that say this is a prophecy, this is a vision by Smith. Whatever way it was, it really did portend what came about in the 1860s.
So, family, that was a prophecy out of the Book of Mormon, out of what the angel came to him and told him about the actual booklets or tablets that were in gold. And that's how he generated and created the Book of Mormon through that, by the guidance and leadership of the Almighty. Okay? This is so profound. And then also had said earlier about that the slaves were going to raise up. But as, it was seen, and as you will, listen to it, it's profound, because what Father is doing is the North and the South, he put them against each other. And that was at our point of matter of time that we were going to be where I want to say the yoke was loosened off of our neck, so to say, but we were able to, not be on the property of slavery, far as enslaved by the slave masters, that we will have our own land and we'll be able to come out of that realm of that slave mentality, so to say. But I'll tie into more as it goes on and give you more insights.
What we're seeing is a human-looking being with brilliant light coming off of it who conveyed an intelligent message to Joseph Smith. There are some speculations that Joseph Smith was in fact visited by an advanced extraterrestrial being.
Did Joseph Smith really receive a prophecy that predicted the coming of the Civil War? And if so, how did an otherworldly entity know that the war would begin in South Carolina nearly 30 years in advance?
Is it possible that the angel Moroni, this perhaps extraterrestrial being, was very concerned about the Civil War, and that's why it gave Joseph Smith an advanced prophetic glimpse into what was coming?
So that's, again, they don't want to give the credit that, the Almighty, and they could be doing it ignorantly, or they can be doing it, they know, when they just don't want to put too much out there to let it be known that this about the slaves. They're the chosen seed. They're the Israelites that in the Bible, and oh my goodness, this means that we really going to get it, because this is fulfillment here. When Father, redeem His people, right? So they gonna, say things like that throughout here, like, well, it could have been this. Well, no, it ties in so perfectly surrounding who? The Israelites. It ties in so perfectly. Let's continue.
Was this another one of the efforts to intervene and to try to steer our history towards the most favorable outcome? Perhaps not just for us, but also for the extraterrestrials themselves.
But Joseph Smith is not the only person who is said to have been visited by an otherworldly being foretelling of a future civil war. Stories have emerged that during the American Revolution in 1777, George Washington had a similar encounter at Valley Forge.
The story is that while at Valley Forge, General Washington had given his men orders not to disturb him. And suddenly, there's a being standing there. And this being is described as being extremely luminous. And next thing we know is this being starts giving Washington a prophecy about the future of America.
According to the story, this luminous being not only gave Washington a vision of the future United States, but also warned that the Union would be tested by civil war. Is it possible that both George Washington and Joseph Smith were visited by extraterrestrial beings who somehow knew that the Civil War would take place? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest even stronger evidence can be found with strange encounters that were reported not by lone individuals, but by entire communities. While UFO sightings were extremely rare before the 1900s, a number were reported during the final years leading up to the war.
So I just want to pause there again. So as you see, George Washington, which is known to be, the first founding father, which we that's another story for another day, because there are other presidents before him, but anyway, that's their storyline. But George Washington, and then how he got visited, and of course they want to say it was an alien, but it was an angel, and then it was provided a prophecy about the United States, what was going to happen, and also the Civil War. So that just tell you, Father was just leading them along the way. He was leading them along the way. So this is quite amazing. And not only him, but with Joseph Smith also. Okay.
One of the best early UFO encounters is from Wilmington, Delaware, from 1860, where witnesses reported seeing this vast 200-foot-long object flying through the sky. And it had like a trail of globes or balls of light behind it. One of them was actually ejected from the object. Now, this sounds almost like a rocket. Certainly nobody should have been flying a rocket in 1860.
An even more striking UFO encounter was reported in Shreveport, Louisiana that same year.
A group of people saw an enormous craft, 300 yards long, hovering just above the tallest trees. This thing was described as having a color like a glowing red stove, and out of the center of this massive object, there were rays like rays of the sun that reached toward the sky. Incredibly, this thing was seen for an hour without changing at all. People got a very good look at this thing, and nobody could even hazard a guess as to what it was.
Less than a month before the start of the war, another major sighting was reported in New York City.
New York at that time was very different. It was a cramped urban setting before the age of tall buildings. In that setting, a witness, Mrs. T. Richard Kinder, looked out of an upper window in her house on Baxter Street, and she saw an object in the sky. She described it as luminous, glowing, shaped like a cross, flying in the air. Startled, she awoke her husband. He saw the glowing cross too.
This ongoing presence strongly suggests that extraterrestrials were not just taking a backseat approach to what was happening on Earth, but they were actively involved and they were monitoring us.
How is it that in an era when UFO sightings were rarely reported, 3 mass UFO encounters occurred within a year of the start of the Civil War? Is it possible that extraterrestrials really did monitor the United States during this time? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and claim that even stranger than the encounters leading up to the war are those that were reported once the fighting began. Boston Harbor, South Carolina, April 12th, 1861. At 4:30 in the morning, Confederate cannons fire on Fort Sumter. 3 days later, President Abraham Lincoln declares that an insurrection exists and calls for 75,000 volunteers to put down the rebellion. The American Civil War has begun.
People on both sides assumed that there would be one great battle that would decide everything, winner take all. One great battle fought somewhere probably between Richmond and Washington. But that doesn't happen.
People actually came out from Washington with picnic baskets and champagne to watch the battle. But this war would be a horrible war. A war that no participant would ever forget. Cost more American lives than all other wars combined. 750,000 people, it is now believed, perished during the war. Civil War was felt everywhere in America because it is that war that defines what type of nation we're going to be. It was not just the future of the United States.
So please keep in mind that this is actually, it was prophesied unto, or given unto the Book of Mormon, which was Joseph Smith, right, saying that a war was coming, and then it went from that to the Revolutionary War, and that was already like even given to George Washington, that a civil war was coming. and who the Civil War is about? Well, you'll find out if you don't know yet.
United States that was at stake. This was a war over different philosophies of government, with the fate of a people caught in the crossfire.
Slaves.
And according to ancient astronaut theory,
The fate of the people caught in the crossfire is the slaves. They're showing them a picture of it. So they always said, to my understanding, the North against the South. Well, being so, because the South still had the slaves and they were, not paying them, and they were making more and more money. And then in the North, they didn't have slaves, and, whoever they hired, they had to pay. That's what my understanding. But all of this stems from family. Is Father was giving us a break that we were at the start of our redemption. Hallelujah. Amazing. Now, there are other things that happened before this, I'm not sure if it is, but I know this right here, says a whole lot, because this is actually, when the slaves, we know, leading up to 1865, of them being free, okay? And we'll cover that too, because it's, you have to understand about the free in the 13th Amendment.
There may have been even more at stake than we know. New York City, April 19th, 1861. Responding to President Lincoln's call to action, the 7th New York Militia travels by steamboat to Annapolis, Maryland. While en route, they witness a very strange occurrence in the sky.
While these men and sailors were on board, they saw what was described as the moon suddenly soaring clear into the sky, and around it, clearly defined, 3 circles of light.
Chariots.
Now, of course, we know that it's not possible for the moon to change position in the sky that way. And looking at this sighting as it was reported, this would have to be classified as a UFO. If UFO sightings represent encounters with alien spaceships.
So family, just today they put out this big old report, about 25 pages, I would say. And they act like nothing has occurred here in America. But that little, shady, grady little video that they show of the, the UFO, far as the spacecraft that they've been showing for years. That little grady little, video. But all this has happened, and they know about it, family. So it's just something else. So whatever they have hidden about us, trust me, they're hiding about the Most High. That's why I'm so, pointing in direction to believe and know that this whole storyline surrounding what they say aliens and so forth, that has all to do with the Most High. I truly believe that part, but I don't know all the ins and outs of everything because of what people have witnessed, those who say they've been, abducted, and those who say, that they're encounters and so forth in that. So I'm from the other side of it, I would say, that where I know, telepathic, which you may say, oh, is that? Yeah, when the Most High speaks to us and give us directions, whether you hear, audibly or it's, a word or a scripture, you could consider that to be telepathic. Literally. Like I could feel and understand and know when I'm receiving a message. It's coming downward that it surfaces and it becomes to where it becomes clear. At first, it's like, I'm hearing it come, and then all of a sudden it comes into a complete word or a complete sentence. You understand? So I'm just here, family, to say, open up your understanding. Trust in the Most High even the more, because we got so much more to understand.
That it seems certain that UFOs were watching over America during the Civil War.
Right, because we were here, still here.
Is it possible that the men of the 7th New York Militia really did have an encounter with some type of alien craft just days after the start of the Civil War? And if so, is it a sign that extraterrestrials had an interest in this turning point in our history?
There's an intriguing pattern that we see within UFO reports, and that's an increase in sightings when wars break out. First World War, Second World War, Vietnam, the Korean War, they all had their UFO incidents. And another example is the American Civil War.
It could be that aliens might simply be interested in observing historical events. It's also possible that extraterrestrials might be trying to influence the course of events or simply to warn people in some way.
While there were numerous UFO sightings reported during the Civil War, even more common are stories of soldiers encountering strange beings on the battlefield.
They were all on the battlefield.
It happened all the time in the Civil War that soldiers reported seeing ghostly figures or ghosts of famous people. Soldiers reported seeing all kinds of strange things when the heat of battle was on.
Also reported were bizarre dreams and premonitions, some of which proved to be prophetic. One of the most notable was published in a Kansas newspaper on March 27th, 1862. According to the account, General George B. McClellan, chief of the Union armies, was visited in his sleep by the ghostly figure of George Washington, who warned him that Confederate forces were closing in on the capital. The vision reportedly caused McClellan to change his plans and fend off the attack.
That was the Almighty warning them.
There are many soldiers and politicians during the Civil War that had premonitions of death. Nathaniel Lyons at the Battle of Wilson Creek actually said, "Today I will die." And he is going to be shot in the chest during the battle trying to rally his men.
But what can explain all of these bizarre incidents? Ancient astronaut theorists suggest that the strange dreams and UFO sightings are evidence that extraterrestrials were, in fact, present in America during the Civil War.
It would seem that throughout the history of this planet, certain civilizations and nations have been watched very carefully by the extraterrestrials and nurtured by them. And in ancient times, this could well have been the Egyptians and the Chinese and the Sumerians. And really, in our own era, it's the United States of America that is the country that these extraterrestrials are the most interested in.
We're here.
Could it be that extraterrestrials took an interest?
So again, I share with my page often all the time. It's something special about America and the slaves that were here and the descendants, not discounting any of the other place where those ships went, but it's something special because, for one, Father made us the language that we speak. It's spoken around the whole entire world. Not only that, it's like, we happen to be the most powerful nation on this earth. Just like if he made Babylon the most powerful, he made, Persia, Syria, same thing. Even though our people are scattered to the four corners of the earth, it's something very special. I don't know all the ins and outs. I pray Father unveil one day. I'm believing, trusting, but it's something special about us being in America.
In the success of the United States of America. Ancient astronaut theorists say the answer may lie with the man who is tasked with preserving the Union, Abraham Lincoln. Illinois, November 7th, 1860. The morning after hearing the triumphant news that he has been elected President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln wakes up from a deep sleep and gazes into a full-length mirror in his bedroom and has a startling vision.
He saw two images of himself in the mirror. One face was healthy and well. The other was a pale, ghostly image of him. He got up, looked at the mirror, checked it, see if there was something wrong. Then he lay down again, thinking, well, it's just my imagination.
Thinking his mind was playing tricks on him, Lincoln checked the mirror a second time. Each time, his two faces confronted him, one 5 times paler than the other. Lincoln told his wife Mary about the vision.
Lincoln relied on Mary quite a bit. When he told her about the vision, she became deathly afraid because she interpreted it to mean that he would have 2 terms as president. One, he would be healthy and well, and the second term, he would die in office.
If the ghostly reflection in the mirror was not a hallucination, then what was it?
It's not too big of a stretch to think that perhaps President Lincoln was somehow influenced by otherworldly beings during the course of the war. It was that important. It took on immense cosmic significance.
Was Abraham Lincoln actually able to receive messages from an extraterrestrial realm that helped him anticipate the future? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and point out that the president himself believed he was the instrument of a higher power.
Yep.
Abraham Lincoln is such a mystery still to us, even though dozens and dozens and dozens of books have been written about him. But Lincoln himself was something of a mystic. I think he had a belief in the supernatural. At least 3 different times during the war, he told friends that he had had a dream about being on a boat with no rudder, with no sail, with no tiller. It's adrift. He is powerless to steer it, and it's heading toward a shore.
Every time he had that dream, something important happened during the war, mainly the battles. Antietam, Stones River, Shiloh, Gettysburg. Lincoln believed he was psychic. He believed in the paranormal. He had a strong belief in his own destiny.
Is it really possible that Abraham Lincoln was given premonitions about the war by extraterrestrial beings? Could he have been chosen because he represented the best hope for preserving the Union and ensuring the continuation of the great American experiment?
Abraham Lincoln saw the United States as this great experiment in democracy, that for it to fail, that meant that the concepts of democracy would fail throughout the world.
Lincoln is infused with a desire to keep the Union together. And he himself said, if I could keep the Union together by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. If I could keep the Union together by not freeing the slaves, I would do it. His paramount focus is restoring the Union.
In addition to his own premonitions, some say that Lincoln may also have been influenced by the visions of a spiritualist named Nettie Colburn. In December of 1862, during the darkest days of the Civil War, Nettie became a spiritual advisor for Mary Todd Lincoln, who was a devout believer in mysticism.
She claimed to have attended seances with Lincoln multiple times, and while in a trance, claimed to have advised him on the war. Now, proving that is sometimes difficult, but in my research, I did find on several points Nettie's story does check out.
According to Nettie's autobiography,
So they speaking of trance, but I speak of that as spiritual moments when you're slain in the spirit and you're giving a prophetic word. But of course, this is how they're telling the story.
otherworldly beings used her to communicate with President Lincoln during seances, and even advised him to issue the Emancipation Proclamation.
Y'all heard that? Advised him. So this lady, she had a gift. Now, she could have used it for evil or used it for the good, but advise him about the Emancipation Proclamation, which was in 1862. Family, this is the history part that ties into the slaves, to our descendants, to our ancestors, and we're the descendants. This is profound.
And another mystic, J.B. Conklin, claimed these voices actually dictated to the president a first draft of the historic document.
Things that not only Nettie did, but other people in the spiritualist movement did, was they were giving him messages about how important the Emancipation Proclamation was. And it was something that Lincoln took as divine sort of guidance.
Thank you, Father.
And so it
Hallelujah.
appears to have played a role in his decision making.
So family, I'm going to close out right now, but I want to let you all know the night that I came across this channel on the History Channel to see this documentary, I was watching HGTV and my TV started buffing. So I took my remote and went to the right side of the remote, of course, and it went to the History Channel. And I truly believe Father guided me over to see this documentary about the Emancipation Proclamation, about Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and the Joseph Smith, all tying together, that they were supposedly visited by a being, but all ties back, and they spoke about the slaves and about what was connected to the slaves. They showed the slave pictures all in the documentary, so it wasn't like they were talking about some other type of slaves. No, we're melanated dark people, our ancestors. You get that. So I truly believe the Most High wanted me to see this and to share this with my page, and I'm just re-sharing it again. I'll share the link of the whole actual footage, but again, this on the History Channel. You would need to go to the History Channel and look up the information that you see on here, if you can make it out. But I will have the link, and of course, and I'll share that with you because I believe I shared it on there. And Father, anything else you want me to share with your people, because I don't want to make sure I don't leave anything out. But it's so profound, family, that there was a spiritualist came and told him that, what he needed to do. And also another spiritualist witness that, there were voices that were guiding Abraham Lincoln to write out the Emancipation Proclamation. And that all has to do with one sector of people, the people that we know this day as being his chosen people. Family, that speaks volume. So please, you all, seek the Most High for further understanding, further clarity, to understand more and more. Like I said, I don't know all things, everything. I know little bits of this, pieces here and there. And it's, to the point to where as I can point to the Most High and say the Most High is in complete control. But every aspect of what we were taught about aliens and UFOs, of course we were taught to be scared. Okay, so I have, brothers that believe that the chariots are what they call the spacecrafts, okay? And I've shared that also on here. And I want to say sisters too, some sisters, understand that to be too. And then how the Bible speaks of that they are angels that are in the chariots, right? Now, but we have some that on the other side saying, oh, they're demons, they're devils, they're from the Luciferian, this, that, and the other. All I'm saying to you all is you seek the Most High for truth and understanding, because with the Most High being in control of all things, that means that we be in the right path of our Father and do what we need to do, what is right, which is would be considered righteous in the sense of keeping the commandments and, the laws and the statutes and praying and seeking the Most High for, to guide and lead us and to have mercy, that we will stay out of the path. Just say that he could use, say UFOs or aliens as demonic beings. Just say that. Well, then we'll be in the Most High right path. We wouldn't have to worry about any of that, because then Father wouldn't send those or that around us if that was the case. But I don't think really that all the case, family. He could use what vessel however he wants to, whether it's good or evil. Let's remember that. Any vessel, me, you, he could use us in any manner he wants. But I think that just was a way, the derogatory way that they say about the Most High and, the angels and so forth for that. It's just that way that they speak about us when they call us the N-word or that or this, or, when they call us black or say black Hebrew Israelites, when they should just say Hebrew Israelites, or, just in general, family. Anything that they say run away from, we should run towards and seek to find out what is the truth. Anything they say, run to, we should run the opposite way. You understand? So I'll share the link. Blessings, family. I love you all. See you all in the next video as the Most High give me leeway and get to.